Okay, so
We're live, man.
we're kind of live. It says, well, it says, okay, and now we're all the way live. I don't know. It did something really weird. Did you see that? Anyway, doesn't matter. So, yeah, what's up, Callie?
What's up, brother?
Oh, my goodness. Just another fantastic Saturday, dude.
Mm.
Um, so let's get into it. You had a pretty interesting week, right?
Yeah, I had an interesting week. I mean, things are starting to get really interesting. As everything opens back up, then I can really shine with what I do with business development. So, contacting people, getting to go places, seeing what their business is doing, and see how I can help them break that in. And I will tell you that staying focused, staying on task, scheduling those things out is really tricky. So I drove easy 700 miles this week.
Good
You
Lord.
know, and in the past, like this, I mean I've flown to California, next
China.
day China for a meeting, for like basically a 2 hour meeting. Not to China for a 2 hour meeting, but for a 2 or 3 day meeting, which if you fly for 24 hours for to be someplace for 7 days or 3 days is pretty much a pain in the ass, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
But that's how
much
you get
so.
stuff
Yeah.
done, man. For
That's
sure.
it. Exactly. And let's talk about this really quick. So the decision that you made when you went to China, right? I think that was a really good example of a time when you realized this is a decision that if I don't make it, it could really negatively affect me in the future. And I see such an opportunity here. I've got to make this move. Can you tell us that story? Because I think it's really cool. The
Yeah.
story's cool.
I mean, so let's set aside people's political thoughts or socio-political thoughts about China or not, because if you're in business for real and not in pretend virtue signal business, because hey, I understand conservative thought, but you're virtue signaling too, right? Your American flag's probably made in China. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's just certain things that look, brother. There's certain things it is illegal to make in the U.S. or it is so problematic that people don't do it. And in the case of my product and some of my clients' products, like, we are the first people to make things in America, and I am very successful at bringing things back and making them in America in sizable volumes. And if somebody wants to do that, I'd love to have that conversation. But we're talking about millions of dollars, not hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. But yeah, in the case of this, because we talk sales, my product, my main revenue source, you think of all these things that we do as revenue streams. So this one kind of dwarfs the others. The components are really long lead time. You have to buy them from a sales organization or a distributor that buys them from a manufacturer that makes it in China. Okay. And they're impossible to get, very expensive, long lead time. So having this sales conversation, really just wrapping this up, and it's the why you conversation. And sometimes you're in this in life. Sometimes you don't realize that just happened. But the conversation was, if we go with you, how are you going to solve the supply chain issues? And I said, hey, if you, when you place this order, I will, by that Friday, I'll be on a plane to China and I'll build the supply chain from the manufacturer directly to me. I'll take out all the middlemen and I'll reduce the cost and I'll increase the availability so I can fulfill the order that we're talking about. And so why do I answer things like that? Is one, because I had already spent my own money, you have to understand, my own time learning that this could be done. I had already put some partnerships in place. So when I got back from that meeting, it was a Wednesday, and I asked my friend, I said, hey, you said you wanted to go to China with me? I said, yeah, because he does sourcing. He said, when do you want to go? I said, Friday, this Friday. We're going this Friday. We bought our tickets. We went. He handles all my sourcing today. I've spent millions of dollars with him. And this is an aside lesson, is what he does, I can do. But why don't I do it? Because he handles a different problem for me, his time and scale. And it's a really good investment for me. I have a resource in helping him build his business and sending him business, it enables me to do things on a different level and be another place. So if you might have friends that you want to do business with, but if you've ever spent $1 million a year with one of your friends, and you're still a friend, I want to be your friend too, because that's the kind of friends that I want to have, right? But the point of this is, you get in these situations, and a lot of people want to crumble, or you want to say, like, I think I can try to do this. There is no answer other than yes, and then deciding that you're going to do something like that and mapping it out and taking massive action to make it happen. The way that I think of things, and this might be egotistical, is if somebody has already done it before, most likely I can do it too.
Yeah.
And there's extreme edges of it. I'm not saying I could be Elon Musk, but I'm saying that the manufacturing equipment that everybody's fawning over, like, I can look at that video, I know what it is. I know the phone calls to make to buy it. So I know that even in that situation at the fringe, I could be helpful in that situation. But as far as like looking at, oh, somebody's bought it and bought this, like, this piece of hardware before, somebody's made this device, if you see it on a shelf in a store, I know I can do it.
It's kind of like, it's to dumb it down a little bit. It's kind of like, the 4-minute mile. And I like to use this guy as an example because it's the same thing, right? Nobody could do it until we could see it was done. And then you see it's done and, it's possible. So, if you could wrap your head around it. Now, I'm not saying that I could look at it and say it's not like I could look at it and say, oh, I could make that thing. You, however, could do that, right? There's other things that maybe I could look at that maybe you couldn't figure out. I don't know, whatever that is.
Well, if you understand it, you don't have to do it. That's what I'm saying about the sourcing, and I'm saying about that confidence is you build confidence in yourself by executing on the tasks and obligations that you have, right? You don't build confidence in yourself because you specifically know that you're a winner, you know every single step. You don't know every step. When you're creating innovation or growing a business or growing yourself personally, if you think you know every single step, you're wrong, and you probably won't be able to achieve that success because you're letting your ego get in front of reality. And reality is life is complicated and you don't know, but you can build confidence by executing on your daily obligations. And that way you can look at that situation and say, well, in the past, I make this mental model, Corey. I say, in the past, I've partnered up with the wrong people, so I know what to look out for. I've partnered up with the right people, so I know what to look out for. I've partnered up with people that are just okay, but they still save me time and enable me to do more. So I know the level of management that they require. They're kind of a pain, but I've done all these things in the past. So this completely new thing, I think that I can map this mentally. I can map this strange situation to a past situation, and I can see myself, put myself into that success. You know what I'm saying? So that's, to me, that's confidence. It's like, I've done this before. I could do it again. I could do it again in a new way. And I know we're a little bit off the ADHD track here, but like, I'll give one more assessment to this is when I started selling that product, we sell roughly 10 times as much of it per year as we used to. Right. And I know in my mind, I have a very specific number, which was a large yearly order. It was like, wow, that's the big order. But once you break that number, you say, hey, somebody bought $384,000 worth of something in one shot that I designed. That's really cool, right?
That is cool.
That is cool. So for anybody who thinks that they're right, how right are you? And I don't care if you sell insurance or real estate, people pump up their numbers and it's just nonsense. They're like, I'm a 7-figure salesperson. And I'm like, you sell houses. What's that? Like that would be like one house in my area.
Right.
Okay. But what I mean is when you're right and your decision or your idea, how right is your idea? If a big company or a government agency says, I believe that you're right as well, and here's this much money, because that's how right I think you are, you get a level of confidence of being correct. Now, it's really easy to mess that up because you can get overly confident. But my point of this is every time we hit that threshold, or the conversation about going to China, that was for 100 of my product initial sale. So the biggest one-off order of that product, and it all in was right at $2 million.
That was what the revenue generated from that deal.
That one order. Yeah, we ended up doing that more than 4 times. There's some like loose change orders in there as well. But to my point is that when you break that threshold, now we're going out and I'm looking at all the other 100-piece orders. So all the $1 million, $2 million, $5 million deals. Whereas in the past, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I thought that a $384,000 deal was like a massive. How are we going to do it? How are we going to figure this out? How are we going to go through all the approvals? How can we prove to them that we're worth that one single deal? And now we get one of those deals pretty frequently, right? We would just make it. We wouldn't think anything of it.
Right. It would just be like you're just taking an order at this point, right? It's not like you're not even selling it, right? You're just taking an order.
Absolutely. And we are blessed to have it and we love getting it, but that would be a normal order now, is what I'm saying, is that when somebody would want what our regular orders would be, I would then work as my business development role, like I was saying, is I would go to their place, I'd figure out what they're trying to do. I'd try to build them into an advocate. I'd try to internally socialize it so then they could not just buy one, but buy 20, which is like about what that 384,000, it'd be like 15 to 20, depending. And so in life, I think there's a lot of similarities to this. And I want to take this long story and I want to circle it back to being a business owner and ADHD, is that there's a lot of I can'ts that you've told yourself. There's a lot of like also optimistic behavior because you've done it in the past before. Oh, I'm really good at getting tasks done. I can just knock out this to-do list really fast.
Yes.
Overly optimistic lies that you're telling yourself. I think we covered that last week.
Yeah.
But there's an equal amount of I can't do this because.
Right.
And you tell yourself that, and the over optimistic thing isn't true because you're not really built to commit on it. The lies that you tell yourself, they become truth. They are reality because you're making it. You're what I say, collapsing, negative reality, collapsing positive reality. You're making the future. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You say I can't, well, you won't.
Right.
You can never if you can't. Right.
Right.
You can say I can, and you can fail at being successful, but in a way that's a little bit more successful than just saying I can't do it in the first place.
Well, and that's a really good point. And that's, with especially people with ADHD. And I'll tell you, you already know this. Like I struggle terribly from, pinging from one idea to the next, even staying in my same niche. And what it's done is instead of just committing to one of the niches and failing at it, you just ping all over the place, right?
Yep.
But here's the outcome. And this is a good outcome. It's taken a long time to get here, but I'll just encompass all 3 niches into one. Fuck it.
You have to figure out that for yourself. And I see this with ADHD business owners. I see this with regular just business owners. Maybe they don't know they have ADHD. But they refuse to do. Corey, my 9 steps probably better than most people, and you certainly know the first 3 or 4 or 5 of them better than almost anybody because we talk about them all the time. But my first thing that I talk to anybody about, and if you're a coach, if you're a knowledge worker of some kind, your process should always start with discovery. It should start with intent, figuring out what someone else is trying to achieve and how you can help them achieve it. If you're starting with taking action to fix a business, you're starting with taking action to fix something in your own life, and you're not setting intentions, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? So
let's be clear. They need to actually have a process they need to go through first.
Yeah. So I have like a very specific process for goal setting and then understanding what that means for me emotionally, what that would mean for my customers, and then how to roadmap that out. And then you're holding yourself accountable. So if you put too much on your plate, you can just look at that roadmap and you can say, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So what do I need to do? I need to go back to Callie. I need to go back to my coach. I need to go back to the people that told me this roadmap and told me, what did he tell me at the time? Oh yeah, that's hell no, that's not happening. So like now I need to go back and I can dial this in. I don't have to quit. I can just dial it in. I can keep my intent and I can adjust my action to reality, to the data that I've received. I have more data now. But the second step that I talk about is people. Like we got to figure out who we're going to serve, right? So we're in partnership with the universe. So I know some of these people that listen to us, they're way more into the mindset stuff, the energy stuff than I am. But I'll meet you halfway. I'll meet you halfway with anything and show you how it becomes pragmatic. We are in a partnership of co-creation with the universe. And the way that I tell people this is that we're not passengers in our own life. You can't get to where you want to go in the backseat of somebody else's car, right? And what we want to do is we want to co-create with our customers. Here's these people. I'm going to be stuck with them for 10 years or the rest of my life. I want to know that I like them. So go out and work with people that you like. You want to have big impact? Well, if you're not a scumbag, you make money as a business owner as a small fraction of the value that you provide in other people's lives at scale. So if I can make 10 people $1 and I can get 10 cents from that, I get $1. And I say, man, I got to change these numbers. I either have to sell something more valuable, I have to sell it to more people, or I have to sell it more times. Those are your three levers in life. There's no other ways to make money. And so you look at it like that. Somebody I like and help them achieve something that they want. And I am a recipient of a part of that success that they're going to achieve. I help them achieve it and I get a fraction of that success. You know, they get their investment back. I like to look at it. Shout out to Uncle G, 10X, right? If I make somebody $1, I expect 10 cents. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to ask. Or if I make you $1 million, would you pay me 100K?
Yep, all day long. I think anybody would take that deal, right?
Yeah, they should. And so by structuring like that, I can eliminate a lot of those conversations. But this is where people, and Corey, you know, this is where you struggle, man. Is like if you pick one place to point your energy, so it's like a pressure point. You know, what's more potent is pointing right on that pressure point or just smushing with your hand. Well, it's natural and intuitive to understand that focus, you take the same amount of energy and put it into a smaller area, you're going to get better results. There's so much more to unpack about that. I could write like a 2,000-page book on this topic, but the more specific you get, the more valuable you can be. It's just that, like, you can argue all you want against it, but then I break it down and people give me all these stupid examples of like other people that are doing lots of things. One, you're not that person. Okay.
Right.
You're not Elon Musk. Again, I'm going to point, you're not Jeff Bezos. Right. And then if we dial it back, I'm like, you realize that all those people started by doing one thing, right?
Right.
And
doing it really well.
And doing it really well. And guess how they diversified their focus?
Collaborations. 100%.
Who wants to collaborate with somebody that's failing at 10 things?
Great point.
Just be successful at one and then say, hey, I think I could replicate this in your market, but you're an expert in that market. Can you help me replicate the success that I've already seen, the systems and processes that I've already built in my market? Can you help me replicate them in yours? Wow, that sounds like a really great pitch, Callie. How'd you come up with that? That's how it works, dude. That's how it works. So focus is this, is like the reason that I knew in that call that I could do the thing is one, I had already done it for for commercial customers. I had already, like I said, invested my time, invested my money, and done it for people making consumer goods and for my coaching clients. And that was 2017. And then I could take that information and I could move it over into my world, which is defense and tech stuff,
So,
not consumer products.
So let me ask you this. Now that you can do these things quicker, right? More confident because you've done it over and over. Does that mean that you charge less money for it because you can do it faster in that now that you've done it over and over?
Dude, I never charge by the hour.
No. I know. But the point is, like, lots of people feel like, well, this comes easy to me, so I should charge less money for it. And I think that is the stupidest way of thinking.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever.
No, I know you haven't.
No, yeah. So like, I understand the piece of this, and in product development, yes, this was the common thing, and it took me a pretty long time and a level of seniority to just avoid that conversation, to understand how to navigate the sales process. Even today, people will ask me for a potential hours. Like, what's the hour load on that? And I also realized that, like, people just charge a whole lot more per hour than I ever thought was even reasonable. So we'd say, oh, $95 an hour for engineering. And then I saw what people's blended rates were. So they would be like, oh, we charge $350 an hour. And that's this percentage of management plus these people. And I was like, oh, okay, you just change the numbers. But in reality, it's like, I'll do something in an hour that takes somebody 2 days to do, because I know how to do it. So I'm not like guessing, oh, wonder how this works, or what's the way somebody does this thing. And yes, so initially I thought, okay, we can be really competitive at doing this. And we've had this conversation, is I developed the mechanical portion of a full person's product for $3,500 or $5,500. Because I could, and we got to manufacture those products. We still manufacture some of those today, 10 years later, longer than that. And so we get that long tail, we get that shared destiny. So it really didn't matter what we charged. We just know that you have to charge something. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. That's a totally different conversation. But yeah, today for something similar, I might charge $55,000, $150,000, $250,000. And the reality is the projects are much different. But
it also depends on what the project's for, right?
Yes.
This could be, it could be extremely important. It could be you could need it, they could need it extremely quick, and you may not have the time to do it right now. And the price goes up if that happens, right? Obviously.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And when you focus on one thing, you have a lot of natural advantages. What people think is that, okay, the speed that I can answer my old questions means that I can charge a lower rate. That is true. You can be highly competitive by giving old answers at a newer speed. But the reality is that when you focus on a certain thing, you get really good at it, and expertise allows you to answer new questions at a new speed. Okay, and so what do I mean about that? Is that, Corey, you can coach people for personal training. You can coach people about plumbing. You can coach people about a lot of things. But as you focus on one thing, let's pick on gyms right now. Okay, so as you focus on that, then you'd start to learn more about the business fundamentals. Then you'd start learning more about the marketing. Then you'd start learning more about the hiring and retention of the salespeople. Then you'd start to learn more about how it integrates with the discounts and offers that equipment vendors play. And you'd start building relationships with equipment vendors and the people that run the different conventions. And you'd start building relationships with thought leaders and influencers in that space. Now, can you still teach people how to close, Sally homeowner when she walks in and she's looking for aerobics classes? Yeah, you probably can. But you can wrap it in a level of success that would be hilariously inaccurate for somebody who has 1 year of sales coaching experience to come in, because you have that focus over time. And like, you're going to absorb that and naturally get it anyways, because you're going to work with owner after owner, and they're going to say like, hey, look at this thing that I did. This is what I've tried before. Hey, here's my friend who's this bodybuilder. You will absorb those relationships. And that's how it's worked for me, is that I have done the same thing for a really long time. And I do lots of different things, but it goes back to that one piece, is that I work with product businesses. I know how to come up with an idea, make it, sell it. That is it. And you can see everything that I do, and then you realize, oh my God, it's all the same thing. And I've been doing the same thing forever, literally, like for 20 years. Now,
sorry, dude. You just like you said a couple of things, and it just fired like all kinds of good, great shit in my brain, and I had to get it down.
But dude, the part about focus, the people get this wrong because they say, I'm going to serve all of these people because right now, today, I can get more clients or I can get more value out of the market. But what you're doing is you're exchanging future massive success for present minor success. Because the level of success that you can get if you know how to do a gym owner's books and fix it so they can properly account for their sales program is a 10x value than being able to train a couple of the trainers to upgrade their coaching packages. And you can't get from one to the other if you're also doing it for all these other businesses. You just can't.
I see. Makes sense.
So this is why I kind of chuckle to myself when somebody's like, well, what kind of products do you have a specialty in products? And I'm like, my specialty is in product businesses. Okay. Like, these industries are generally like, they have the same problem. People who make products, they all have the same core set of problems about getting funding, going through engineering, the way that they describe their marketing challenges, the way that they go to market is very similar. The way that their accounting is set up is all the same. The way that it's all the same, but like they're like, but I sell blue products and these guys sell red products. Like, you don't have any experience with red products. And I'm like, dude, I understand. You've never run a business before, but it's all the same. It literally could be like widgets. Like, it's just widgets. Now,
but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just
where that's not true, we would bring in an expert. Like, if I was going to try to sell the gyms, I'd bring in somebody who's an expert in gyms, right? And like, that's a part of my strategy and my process, is that when we want to enter a market, like we just talked about before, I go and say, hey, I'm successful. Look at this. I'd like to be successful in your area as well, and I don't feel like competing. What I'd like to do is work with you, and then we're able to enter or grow into a new sector. But like, that strategy and that process is generic. It is the same based on my other principles. And sales is kind of tempting to look at this like this, but when you realize that people want different things, the way that like a plumber does their sales versus a gym does their sales is totally different. Like, the way that each of these companies are structured, their culture, like the way that they're trying to affect or influence the market is different. Like, a lot of those pieces, they don't translate. And you could be highly effective, but here's my point about this. So you want to be confident. Here's how you can foresee yourself as confident. Go try to find something that exists in the world that is correlative to what you're trying to do, that is similar. So, Corey, let's just say that you wanted
Alex Hormozi, being a great example, marketing, right?
Okay, exactly. So Alex Hormozi exists. Okay, great. And then now there's, like, because of him and a couple other winners like him, there's what I would say there's probably 1,000 mini Hormozis. Call them micro Hormozis, right? Okay, cool.
Sure.
So there's lots of people turning around in that space. How many of them also sell to plumbers?
0.
Okay.
Case in point.
Yeah. And then
you're like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's clear as day. Writing's on the wall.
Yeah, and then when you say like, okay, there are people that coach people that then go out and have more generic sales knowledge. So who are those people? It'd be like Ryan Stewman, right? Ryan Stewman's a salesperson, but what he's selling is Ryan Stewman.
Right.
Now you can get a lot of benefit, and you could be selling to gyms and selling to this and selling to that and selling to that, but you'd probably not be all the same person. You'd be multiple different people. So that's my point. It's like you look at this and at the ADHD, it's really it's tempting to go after all those pieces. But Corey, if you were sitting in a situation where somebody is going to offer you that $1 million deal, right, and you know it's going to be super hard, have you built the depth of connections and resources and knowledge and experience in all of these different aspects where you could say yes, or you could say yes, but? And the answer is no. The answer is no. And for everybody that's listening, the answer is no. And you think, oh, Callie, there's this thing and there's this thing where I could say yes. I'm like, okay, dumbass, then pick one of those.
Right.
Quit shortchanging yourself because you're afraid, because you're not distracted, you're not committed.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. But you know something, yeah, and you're right. Here's the thing, like, this has kind of been in front of my face the whole time. I've battled with this idea back and forth since 2018. Right, I wrote a book about how to sell personal training in person before everything happened, and I didn't do anything with it. Everybody with ADHD is going to understand this conversation pretty well. Never did anything with it. Right? No, that's not true. I got it edited. But I never published it. I was like, I don't want to be in that space. I didn't want anything to do with the fitness space because I just realized this the other day. I tied the fitness space to me standing on the gym floor, which I'm not going to do. Right? That's just not. I've done that. I've moved on from that area of my life, and so it was just a correlation of where I was in the gym, and I was correlating the wrong thing. I was correlating something that shouldn't have been correlating with what I'm currently doing. Does that make sense?
I absolutely know exactly what you're saying, but this is why that thinking is so deadly, because when you talk to gym owners, dude, they're thinking the same exact thing. They don't want to be on the gym floor either. And you could say, yeah, that's right. I went from a personal trainer to owning a facility. Okay.
Right.
And I want to take you off of the gym floor and make you the actual, not owner operator, but entrepreneur that's running this business. I want to be a part of that success. I can't do everything for you, but I can do so much for you relative to where you are that it'll put you in a position to allow that to happen. I know it because I've been in your situation. I know why you don't want to be there.
Yeah. Like, and here's the thing. I could confidently say that exact thing because I know exactly what they're struggling with. I know exactly where they're failing. I know exactly why. I know, and it took me, until I just, I went through this proposal with this gym up in Maine. And I'm going to start working with him with zero question in my mind because I know the industry like the back of my hand. I know everything that they need to know. I mean, I know so much about that industry. I think I just shortchanged myself. I don't think I did, for sure.
Well, all the things that we've learned since this last summer about local leads, about SEO, about funnels, all that's applicable. All your background is applicable. All the things that you know about creating content are applicable. All the things that you know about nutrition are applicable. I think between the two of us, we probably know, 100 professional or semi-professional bodybuilders or athletes. Probably know that many gym owners. It's just like you're already at a level of success without doing this that other people are going to wait their entire career to try to achieve. They're like, oh, if I just knew like a couple of IFBB pros, like I could get them to come on. It's like, yeah, they're normal people, right?
Right.
A lot of them, they want sponsorship money because it's kind of expensive to like work out for a living. The machines, they don't have like a cash slot where money comes out of it, right? It's pretty expensive lifestyle.
Here's a quick hack. If you want to grow something in the fitness industry, just pair up with somebody that's doing, a collaboration. It's so easy in the fitness industry.
The whole industry is built on that, right? Every YouTuber with supplements, everybody with their clothing brand, everybody with sponsorships all over the place, collab events. Like, it is a very collaborative. Now, I will tell you that there's a lot of like politics and kind of infighting behind the scenes and stuff, but that it is what it is, right? And it's just what I'm telling you, brother, is like, you're looking for a way to break in, but you're already in at another level that people that run gyms wish they knew the people that you already know.
Right. They just don't know. They just don't know me because of me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think this is a fun conversation for anybody, because let me wrap all this up, is that in your career, there'll be a couple of times where you are sitting at that table and somebody's going to ask you that question, right? That is the inflection point or a milestone where you need to be able to confidently say yes, and in your mind you say, I can do this, and I'm going to figure it out. And you need to be able to tell them with confidence that you can. So you need to figure out where you want to develop that expertise, where you can reliably say yes. Now, that situation wasn't easy. I don't want you to listen to that story and think that it was easy. It was absolutely a nightmare. Okay, to put it in perspective, we did that thing, and it was painful to spin up, and I ended up working to 1, 2 in the morning every day for the next 3 to 4 months to be able to get that done, to be able to grow that business. We ended up hiring over 20 people to get 4 people that would help us. We were hiring anybody and training them as fast as possible. And that level of energy changed the level of energy in our life and our business, in my family, right? So the way that we approach things and what we can confidently do, that set a new level of energy, but it was not easy. And the stuff that I'm doing right now, Corey knows, is at that same level again. And so I know that I can do it because I've done it before. But I also know that I can do it because I've focused on one dumb thing over and over again. And everything that I do contributes to that. So when you see me make a hair tool, you think, I thought Callie made high-tech and defense products. But my ability to work with an outside development company, my ability to build a supply chain globally for that product, my ability to work through the partnership deals from the distributor and the retail and all of the other back-end collaborations for any of those projects, understand that it's the same, and I'm learning at a crazy accelerated level as I work with my clients. And as I put out the content, I'm getting a level of knowledge and clarity that would be unparalleled that I can use for my own products and my own businesses. And it gets me a better mental map because I'm doing the same thing over and over again, which is coming up with an idea, whether that's my own idea or an idea with you. I am making that thing and I'm selling that thing. Right. And if we're lucky, those are going to be at a scale that's kind of hard to wrap your head around. So if you can figure out what your one thing is, and you can offer that over and over again, you can put lots of skins on it that sound fun, that entertain you. They are not distractions. They are contributions to your success. And if you have that one set point, it's like, I do this thing, then you can go back to it, and you can keep building knowledge, connections, resources. And then the next time that we have the how much should I charge per hour, we can all just laugh at that conversation. I can't believe that I used to charge by the hour and I couldn't figure out how to not charge by the hour. It's like, I made one connection. I connected 2 people together and it made him $10 million. So it's like, how much do you charge per hour for that email? Like,
It's actually really funny that you say that, because I was just talking to the guy that I work with, my ADHD coach, and we were talking through the proposal, because he's a business guy. He's formerly, before he worked with people with ADHD, he ran multi-million-dollar. It doesn't really fucking matter. Anyway, the point is, like, he's got business knowledge. So I had him look through some stuff. It was like, it's like, if I was looking at this proposal, I would want to know how many hours you're going to be working on this. And I'm like, why does it fucking matter how many hours I'm working on it? He was like, I would want to know how many hours. And I'm like, do you want to know how many hours I'm working on, or do you want the end result? Because if I give you the end result, do you really give a shit how long it takes me to do it? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, 700 hours.
Sounds good.
Right. Like, is that what you need to hear? Right. And so but that's kind of how it is. Yeah. Right.
And then you'll go back to that, and you're charging on value, and you're putting down hours. It's like I said, it's like, I figured out, I figured out that my competitor was charging 4 times what I was charging by the hour. And I figured out that they were charging maybe 10 to 50 times the price to do something. So I was like, it's arbitrary. It doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Right. In my case, like with product development, they're charging that much because they don't manufacture anything. They don't make money after they develop it. Their whole business is about just engineering something. That's like a piece of my business. So it's like, that money doesn't matter as much, but I could charge half as much as them, blow them out of the water competition wise every single time, and then get what we get too. And you have to look at situations where you can be unfair like that. Right.
Right.
But yeah, like I picked up a contract with a big company and said, hey, we want to know how many hours and what do you charge? And I said, oh, we charge $150 an hour, and it's roughly this many hours. They just said, that sounds good, because all they had to do was put it in a spreadsheet. That's all they cared about, dude. That's all they
So how do you, all right, so this is a really good lesson, right? This is a great lesson about, emotional intelligence in business, right? How do you know when because you've done this a million times, but let's just take somebody new in business that does a proposal like myself, right? I do this proposal and I do pitch it with no hours, because that's how I do it. And the guy needs hours, right? And I pitched the wrong way, right? How do I know that before I go into it? Well, obviously ask a bunch of questions, but.
Well, I'll give people a hack that I would teach. I don't coach coaches, but I do have lots of friends that are coaches and consultants. So this is something that I would tell you, and you'll instantly realize how I came up with this. Is that I figure out what other people charge. Okay. And the way that I do that is that I have too many projects, or I do too many different things, and I say that's not a good fit for me. So I end up referring and building relationships with a lot of people. But let's just say let's use a possible real life example, Corey. Okay. Let's say that I'm working on a fitness product. So I'm working with a piece of physical hardware for gyms.
Okay. Yep.
Let's say that you're a coach for gyms. Okay. Well, I know that I can't just sell that product, because it has to be sold through the gym. It has to be sold to the trainers. They need to have the programs. So I'd say this is a good point to collaborate with Corey. So Corey, let's talk about the 5 gyms that you're working with. How many trainers do we have? Who do we know that can develop a program for this product? And how can we package all of that up? And then you would give me a proposal, and I'd be like, damn, Corey charges this much for that? Man, or I'm like, damn, Corey's not charging enough for this. Let's just change these numbers. I've done that enough times through collaboration with other people, because dude, I don't know anything about gyms. I only know what I said in this because you and I have talked. Okay.
Sure.
I only know this because I have done this exact scenario that we're talking about now, as I've sold into the fitness world. So I see a little insight. If you ask me something about, like, I don't know, military backpacks, I'd have a better information for you. But I only know about this thing because I know it through you or through someone else. But then I see how you write your proposal. I see how you pitch your thing. I see how much you charge per hour. I see how like you structure your stuff, and I've done that 100 times.
Right.
So look, for somebody that's listening, you can only do this if you do depth, like I'm saying. And then if I want to go into the fitness world, I don't do that. I collaborate with it. I say, here's how I can get success for my client by working with somebody that has access to that market. And I'm going to map this thing out with you. You're going to execute on that. That's how that's how I know about textured hair products. That's how I know about battery storage systems and drones and weird electronics and radios and like all these things that you're like, how do you know that thing? I don't, dude. I don't. I just have collaborated with somebody that was an expert in that, and I soaked up 1% of their knowledge, right? And yeah, so when you look at that, then you'd say, wow, now I have a better data set, and I know that people of Corey's caliber, they don't charge by the hour. But if I were to look at it, I think it's roughly between $150 to $250 an hour. It's really what he's offering. And he's supporting that with these other things, because you support it with like other people are also contributing to the work, and you're rolling up that cost into one piece. So if you're ever wondering that, it's because you haven't worked with enough people. You haven't collaborated enough. You don't have the right friend circle. You don't have the right network. You really should be operating in our group a little bit more, or you should be talking to Corey a lot more, because you need to connect with somebody who's connected to many different people. This is the essence of networking, right? Is I have 10 connections. Let's say I have 10 strong connections, but every one of my connections, they generally are connected to another 100 people or 1,000 people. And that puts my potential impact much higher. So if you ever want to wonder something like, how much should I charge? Well, you shouldn't ask your client. They're not a
Definitely not. Definitely don't ask the client.
But that's basically what people do when they submit bad proposals, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Asking your client, is this acceptable? I don't like to guess. I like to be pretty reasonably accurate, and that's why I can be filled with more confidence. Is that I know, like, hey, here's this project. This project's worth this much. I know that I can come in at this price because I can still be competitive, make money, whatever, because of my business model. But yeah, if you want to know how much to charge per hour, you're really asking the wrong question.
Right. No. Exactly.
It's arbitrary, dude. You can just make anything up you want.
No. I know. I was thinking more.
When they're asking me that, it shows me that they aren't working with enough people to understand their market.
Right. I think the question more was like, how do you know that before you ever pitch that person? But you would know just because of their knowledge. You would know just because of their knowledge whether or not how that's going to go. In other words, does that make sense?
Yeah, like I hire other product development companies pretty regularly. Okay?
Right.
I have product development capabilities. You could view us as a product development company, but at our core, we're really a manufacturing product company. So if I go out and I send it, we call an RFP, request for proposal.
Right.
Okay. So this teaches me how to write out that document, and then I send it out to 5, 10 product development companies. Now, for every project that I do this, I have 5 to 10 proposals back. How good do you think my proposal is at closing? Because I see, like, they might see 5 projects a year, whereas I see maybe 1,000 proposals a year.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the power of collaboration. Is then I can go to each of those and I can build a relationship and say, hey, you weren't a great fit for this, but I really understand because of your proposal where you fit in the market, and I get pitched for a lot of product development jobs a year, more than most people. So now I know where to put that in my brain, and I'll look out for a perfect project for you. So you weren't a good fit for this. I really liked your proposal, but I don't want to give you something that's not going to be super successful. So let's plan on doing something else together. And I can go through that systematically and build my team, my extended team, And if you're a business coach or a business owner and you don't have like an extra team that you can turn on, if you don't have a great marketing company that you're working with, you don't have a great sales coach, you don't have an extra sales team that you can turn on and turn off, you don't have a badass accountant saving you hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you don't have those pieces, dude, you are in trouble. You're in deep trouble. That should be operation number one, is building out your network. Not building your sales will come, right? But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, how do you know? How do you know? But like, if you're a sales coach, what I would do is I would either if I was just starting out, I would work for a sales coach.
Yeah.
I would be a closer for them. So I start making money like next week, and I see how everything works: structure, website, marketing, scripts, everything. That's what I would do. If you said, Cal, you got to make money, you got to be a sales coach tomorrow, that's what I would do. I'd say, hey, I'm going to go work for XYZ. I know a lot about digital marketing. I'd probably go work for one of the digital marketing teams and say, like, hey, I'm going to do sales for you.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. And then I would have a pretty strong understanding of how that works. And then when I became a sales coach, I would be like, hey, really what I do is I do this specific thing, and then I collaborate and bring on other people to do operations, other people to do the marketing. I bring on other people that are around the sales process, and I would constantly be bringing them in to understand like what all those numbers mean and what is possible. But you look at what, Alex Hormozy charges a lot of money, a lot, but he does marketing and sales.
Right.
He owns the value stream of that thing. So if he's making $100,000 or $200,000 for a customer, it's like pretty easy for him to charge his whatever it is, $30K a year.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, but he's definitely got it dialed in. But either way, it's really good. It's been a good show, bro. It's been a really good show.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Gone all over the place.
It's been completely all over the place, which I guess that fits the title of the show, right? ADHD. I got to jump. Appreciate the show, though. I got to rock and roll, though.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Listen, if you guys are not following the show, make sure you do that. You can check us out. It's live on, Apple Podcast, on all the podcast stations. You can find this live episode on podcast, whatever. I'll cut that part out. All right.
It's everywhere.